Sixers fans, how we feeling out there? Hey y'all, my name is Lauren Gordon. Some of you may already know me on social media as Lauren Fan of the Year. Others may have just stumbled upon this podcast, but either way, I want to first thank all of you for tuning in to Season 3, Episode 3 of my very first podcast. I'm just a Sixers fan, the Lauren Fan of the Year story. Now let's continue the story. Y'all, I ended the last episode on January 14th, 2022, with us beating the Boston Celtics at home 111-99. What I forgot to mention was Tyrese Maxey's post-game interview with new play-by-play announcer Kate Scott. And during the interview, Maxey, who probably thought there was some kind of technical issue when it appeared he lost the connection, he respectfully called Kate Scott Miss Kate. And I thought, oh, I love this kid so much. You could just tell he was raised right, and he had a good head on his shoulder. And after everything we went through with Ben Simmons, you could just tell that Tyrese Maxey had a different kind of maturity. And while I'm thinking about it, let's talk about Kate Scott. Remember, the legendary Mark Zumoff had since retired, and Kate Scott was now the new Sixers play-by-play announcer alongside Ala Abdelnaby. She had big shoes to fill. Kate was a female, she had a same-sex partner, and she was replacing Mark Zumoff, who was legendary. And I was sad to see Mark Zumoff go, but I was happy he got to enjoy his retirement. I was thrilled to see a female hired for this role. I didn't care about her sexual preferences. For real, y'all, it's none of my business. I wanted to give Kate a fair shot, and just like the players, I wanted to fully support her. Some of the comments about Kate that I read on social media, y'all, they were just mean-spirited and cruel. A lot of people didn't even give her a chance and wanted to attack her. Kate Scott always handled herself with kindness and grace. She knew her stuff when it came to basketball, and in my opinion, she was doing a great job as our new play-by-play announcer. She just had to be herself and carve out her own path. If she tried to be Mark Zumoff 2.0, she'd be doomed. She wasn't hired to be Mark Zumoff. She was hired to be Kate Scott. And as fans, we just had to get used to the change. I wanted her to succeed and do well. However, in the back of my mind, I knew that any time a female breaks the glass ceiling and steps into a male-dominated environment, they will always be under scrutiny. I was rooting for Kate, and I wanted her to stay strong and just keep going. On January 15th, we played the Miami Heat on the road. In the third quarter, we went on a 26-12 run to erase a 12-point deficit to get the win, 109-98. Tobias Harris had 22 points. Seth Curry had 21 points. Tyrese Maxey had 13 points. Bang Bang George Niang had 12 points. But the real story was Joel Embiid. He was the game-leading scorer with 32 points, 12 rebounds, y'all, in 36 minutes. I know I mentioned it on other episodes, but it's true. It was getting to a point where we were just expecting these extraordinary games from JoJo. That's because he was out there making it look easy. The following day was January 16th. Side note, there are actually two former Sixers birthdays that I'm aware of that fall on January 16th. Mark Jackson and Gerald Henderson Sr. Now, y'all know that there were actually two Mark Jacksons that played in the NBA. Mark with the C and Mark with the K. Y'all, this is the Mark Jackson with the C, who played center for our Sixers back in 2003, who is now an analyst on NBC Sports Philadelphia alongside Amy Fadul and Jimmy Lynam. Mark with the K Jackson, who never played for our Philadelphia 76ers, but he was a guard who played on a bunch of teams throughout the NBA, and he also coached the Golden State Warriors, and I believe he's currently a commentator and an analyst. Gerald Henderson Sr. played for our Sixers, but not his son, who was also in the league, Gerald Henderson Jr. But anyway, on January 19th, we had a home game against the Orlando Magic. One of the ushers, who is a good friend of mine, gave me access to the Center City Club, which is an exclusive eatery with private bars underneath the arena tunnels near like the players' locker rooms and whatnot. And it's reserved primarily for season ticket holders who sit courtside or close to the court. Even though I was a lower level season ticket holder at the time, my seats didn't grant me access to the Center City Club. So while I'm sitting in there having a pregame margarita, I looked up and saw assistant coach Sam Cassell walk by, and he was grabbing something to eat off the counter. He was standing right behind me, and I turned around and I said, Coach Sam, can I get a selfie? And he leaned in and I snapped a quick photo. I turned to him and said, now let's get this win. He just smiled and jogged off to the locker rooms. Y'all, taking that selfie with Sam Cassell made my day. And to be honest, it was actually a really good game. Mo Bamba had 32 points. Do y'all remember Mo Bamba? But as impressive as Mo Bamba's 32 points was, Joel Embiid had 50 points. Y'all, 50 points, 12 rebounds, and 27 minutes. Oh my God. Y'all, we ended up beating the Orlando Magic 123-110. And I remember watching these games thinking, Joel Embiid is amazing. And here I am witnessing greatness with my own eyes. It was absolutely incredible. 3 days later, on January 22nd, I saw a social media post that read, the NBA top-selling team merchandise, and it had the top 10 teams. In 10th place was the Dallas Mavericks. In 9th place, the Toronto Raptors. In 8th place was our Philadelphia 76ers. Ahead of us in 7th place was the Chicago Bulls. 6th place, the New York Knicks. 5th place, the Boston Celtics. 4th place, the Brooklyn Nets. 3rd place, the Milwaukee Bucks. 2nd place, the Golden State Warriors. And in 1st place, the Los Angeles Lakers. And I was kind of surprised that our Sixers were in 8th place. We had the best player in the league on our team. I just knew for sure that the Joel Embiid jersey was like selling off the shelves, right? So I commented on this post with, I thought my purchases alone would have put the Sixers in at least the top 3. And I tagged the NBA store. And y'all, they responded. At Lauren, your support is incredible, Lauren. It certainly can't hurt their standings. I know that for sure. And all the gear you have acquired is a slam dunk. Thank you so much for your support. Hashtag here they come. On January 23rd, we beat the San Antonio Spurs 115-109 on the road. Maxey and Tobias had 18 points each. Korkmaz had 17 points. But y'all, once again, Joel Embiid put up huge numbers. 38 points, 12 rebounds, in 32 minutes. Come on, y'all. Joel Embiid was our MVP. And now NBA fans across the league had to agree that at this pace, Joel Embiid was going to be the league MVP. Y'all, the time was January 23rd, 2022. But here were Joel Embiid's stats since Christmas: 42 points, 14 rebounds, 38 points, 12 rebounds, 40 points, 13 rebounds, 50 points, 12 rebounds, 32 points, 8 rebounds, 32 points, 12 rebounds, 25 points, 13 rebounds, 31 points, 6 rebounds, 31 points, 8 rebounds, 31 points, 12 rebounds, 31 points, 5 rebounds, 31 points, 15 rebounds, 34 points, 7 rebounds, 36 points, 11 rebounds, 36 points, 13 rebounds. Unfreaking believable. Y'all, I made Joel Embiid's photo my profile pic, my cover pic, and every single post I added hashtag MVP'd. Y'all, I don't know what it is, but when we are winning, I just want to buy more Sixers stuff. I can't help myself. On January 24th, I made a social media post with my Bitmoji, which is like an animated cartoon version of myself. And what's cute about my Bitmoji is she's wearing a cute little Sixers shirt. So I added my Bitmoji, and it was of me thinking with a thought bubble overhead, like if y'all can picture that. And I added the caption, in parentheses, self-talk. Lauren, it doesn't matter if it's on sale. You don't need any more Sixers gear. And then I mentioned at Fanatics, at NBA Store, and at Sixers. James Brister Jr., who is also known as Big Daddy, another Sixers superfan, who is also very popular during the games as the guy who sits lower level, and during the timeout, he lifts up his shirt and shows his belly while dancing to the music during the break. Well, y'all, he's such a nice guy and a dear friend, and he commented on my post with, "Lauren, you can never have too much, LOL." And I quickly replied to Big Daddy with, "I was waiting for a sign, and that was it." I brought a few more clearance and sale items from the Fanatics website. Y'all, it is way too easy for me to get caught up in this fandom. If I saw anything with a Sixers logo, if I didn't already have it, I wanted it. Around this time, I began seeing posts about Shake Milton's love of Honeygrow. For those of you who don't know, Honeygrow is a fast casual restaurant that specializes in customized stir fries, salads, and a honey bar dessert bar. It is also one of my favorite places for a tasty meal that isn't necessarily fast food. And because I liked the Honeygrow page and I was a follower, I would see all their promos and specials pop up in my news feed. One day, I saw a Honeygrow post that read, "Shake Milton is our #1 fan, and trust us, the love is mutual. Introducing our 2 new Shake Milton menu items. Milton Stir Fry," which consisted, y'all, of shrimp, rice noodles, broccoli, bell peppers, scallions, red onions, chili flakes, sesame seeds, sesame garlic sauce, and the Shake Milton honey bar consisted of clover honey, yogurt, blueberries, roasted apples, roasted pears, grapes, granola, and chocolate chips. This was Shake's signature Honeygrow order. And I was like, ooh, this is similar to my Honeygrow order. Then I saw a Honeygrow post pop up on my news feed that read, "Shake Milton and yours truly, Honeygrow." It only makes sense that we've teamed up with 76ers star Shake Milton to celebrate the return of the NBA and give back to children in need right here in this great city. Say hi to our newest partner, Shake Milton, and wish him luck as the 76ers tip off on Saturday. On January 26th, they were having a Shake Milton meet and greet at their Honeygrow location in Wynwood. Y'all, it was a Wednesday, but thank God I work from home. I could easily slip away from my laptop a little early. No one would even miss me. So that day, I drove about 40 minutes to the Honeygrow location in Wynwood. I was wearing my blue Sixers Embiid jersey because I didn't have a Shake Milton jersey. But y'all, it really didn't matter because I was also wearing my favorite blue Sixers jacket. We were still required to wear masks in public to slow down the spread of the COVID-19 virus, so I grabbed my black mask that I kept in my car. And I got there, I believe it was like around a little before 2:30 because I think the meet and greet started at 3 p.m. And as I mentioned before, I always like to arrive to places like that early. So I got there, I was able to find decent parking, and I could already see a line beginning to form outside the Honeygrow entrance. And it was like kind of roped off. And there was a sign outside announcing the meet and greet with 76ers player Shake Milton, and it also stated the first 100 people in line would receive a voucher for a free Honeygrow meal. So, y'all, I quickly jumped in line, and I think I was probably, I don't know, maybe 50th in line. And y'all, the line began to grow, and we had to wait outside. And I remember it being very cold outside. Remember, it was January. I was bundled up, so I didn't mind the cold. And even though I hated wearing the mask, y'all, I didn't mind wearing it that day because it actually kept my face warm. And I began chatting with the people in line, just to kill time. And what I was most shocked about was the fact that a lot of the people who were in line, y'all, they weren't even Shake Milton fans. Hell, they weren't even Sixers fans or even NBA fans or basketball fans. They were standing in that line because they wanted the free Honeygrow meal voucher. At first, I was shocked, but then I was like, well, these randos aren't really breaking any rules. I mean, I even witnessed people walking by asking hey, why are all these people standing in line? And some people was answering, the first 100 people get a free meal. And I was one of the few people who answered, it's a chance to meet Shake Milton. And y'all, all of a sudden, we saw a black car drive up and Shake Milton and his handler stepped out. Shake began to wave as he approached the crowd. I asked the people standing directly behind me if they would hold my spot, and they said yes. And y'all, I don't know what came over me, but this is the Lauren Fan of the Year behavior that I know I am guilty of. But y'all, I stepped out of line and I walked right up to Shake. And I said, Shake, I'm so excited to see you. And I asked him for a selfie. He graciously said yes. And y'all, I took the selfie and got back in line. I was like a little kid. And what I've learned about myself, y'all, over my lifetime is that anything Sixers related just appeals to my inner child. It's a feeling I get ever since I was a little girl. And y'all, I wasn't even embarrassed. And it wasn't like there were any kids in line because as big of a fan as I am, I always yield to children. But remember, it was a Wednesday afternoon and most kids were probably still in school or it was close to dismissal. Well, anyway, y'all, I stood back in line satisfied because I got my selfie with Shake Milton. Well, at that moment, an Action News reporter who was on the scene approached me and asked if they could interview me. And of course I said yes. They asked me what I thought about Shake Milton, and I told them that I love Shake. I am a huge fan and that I will always support him. They took my name and I told them I was from Norristown. And I also think during this time, Shake was injured and he wasn't getting much playing time. But I told the reporter that I love Shake on and off the court. The Honeygrow manager greeted Shake and showed him one of those side-by-side basketball arcade net things that was set up outside. And She gave the instructions that Shake would go head-to-head with a few of the fans in line to see who could make the most baskets in 10, 20 seconds. It wasn't a long time. Shake would also go inside and help prepare a few of the orders, assisting the staff. Well, y'all, the line began to move. Most people greeted Shake and wanted to go head-to-head shooting hoops before getting their free meal voucher. Some people just wanted the free meal vouchers. When it got to the point where I was coming up next in line, I asked the people behind me if they could use my cell phone to record me playing basketball with Shake. They agreed. It was now my turn. Shake stood by the basketball hoops, and as I walked toward him, I greeted him again with a big smile and, "Shake, I'm so excited." He said, "Are we going head-to-head?" I said, "Yep, and fair warning, I'm competitive and I'm going to win." He just laughed at me and said, "You ready?" I said, "Yep, let's go." Y'all, the timer began counting down and we began shooting hoops. A lot of my balls were going in and a few were bouncing in and out. I glanced over at Shake's rim and y'all, he wasn't missing anything. The time ran out and I looked at the scoreboard and Shake was clearly the winner. We both started cracking up because he certainly wasn't going easy on me. He didn't care that I was a girl. He didn't care that I was old. He was like, "Nah, you're talking smack. I'm not going easy on you." We high-fived each other, and I said, "Thank you for this wonderful experience, Shake." I thanked the person behind me who recorded my amazing moment with Shake. I grabbed my cell phone and was handed my free meal voucher. I went inside and placed my order at the kiosk. I ordered it exactly as Shake Milton's order. Of course, it was crowded inside of Honeygrow as the staff was working triple time just to keep up with the demand. But y'all, I didn't mind waiting. I was still riding the high of knowing I just shot hoops with Shake Milton on a random Wednesday afternoon. Like, this stuff just doesn't happen every day. After a while, Shake came inside, washed his hands, rolled up his sleeve, and began to help the staff prepare the orders. I know he was also glad to come in from being outside because, as I mentioned, it was really cold out there. Shake Milton helped prepare my order. I thanked him again as I headed back to my car to enjoy my free meal. I didn't want to eat inside of Honeygrow because it was getting way too crowded. As I sat in my car eating my shrimp stir-fry, I posted the video of Shake and me shooting hoops with the caption, "Just me shooting around with Shake. Thanks for lunch at Sniper Shake and at Honeygrow." Then I uploaded the selfie that I took with Shake to social media with the caption that read, "Look for me and Shake on Action News tonight." Sure enough, on the 5 p.m. news, my interview aired along with the video of Shake and me shooting hoops. I only knew it aired because I was being tagged in a lot of Facebook posts and I was receiving lots of text messages from my family and friends saying they saw me on the news. I was also glad a few people recorded the interview because I was not at home to see it. I was actually driving to a Society 76 private event at Brooklyn Bowl that started at 6 p.m. And y'all, I still had to pick up my niece Taylor, who was my +1 for the evening. There was more Sixers fun to come. Meeting Shake Milton, shooting hoops, having a free lunch was just the start. And I was on my way to a private Sixers season ticket holder event. I remember thinking to myself, what an incredible day to have another amazing fan experience. And y'all, I was grateful for it all. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And be sure to join me next time as we continue the story.